Well, hello guys, we're working on another engine. This come out of that old 510 John Deere backhoe. Right now I'm doing cam bearings. I got a brand new, this thing spun a rod bearing. As you can see, this connecting rod over here, see the discoloration, the black here. For some reason I told McGill there at Farmland that I needed a rod, and he didn't get it, so it's on its way now. I called him back, but I actually took a well, I got one rod over there laying on the bumper of my service truck because I got new rod eye bushings, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, I took a telescoping gauge and I measured the ID on that rod over there on the small end in numerous places, and the clearance is right there. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. And I called a buddy of mine that's a machinist, and he said I wouldn't hesitate one bit about reusing them. They're fine. He said there's no need, and I like doing rod end bushings. I understand that, but it's just like there's no need to change them. There's nothing wrong with them. So that being said, trying to think what I'm going to do here. So I got a new crank, and this crank there's a new crank over here, guys. And I have never seen cosmoline that was dried up on a crankshaft like this. So I got some hot water in there, but I mean it's so caked on there, and it's been sitting. This crank must have been sitting somewhere for a long time, because I mean it's most of the time you can take some brake clean or something and just wash that cosmoline off, but this stuff is like just, well, it's really adhered to the crankshaft. So I'm going to take a bunch of hot water and a rag and see if I can get that stuff to come off of there. It'd be nice if I had a hot tank or a hot wash washer, but I don't have the money for that. So anyways, I'm kind of similar to that. I watch those guys at Pakistani truck repair and amazing skills and stuff, and I kind of feel for those guys, because I understand what they go through, because I'm kind of like them. I don't have all this fancy shit that I don't know how these other guys afford it, but it is what it is. I guess there's a saying that old people, poor people have poor ways, so that's me. Okay, so I was on the phone trying to get some other stuff figured out, and I grabbed a hammer and I laid it down somewhere. Here it is. So let's knock the cam bearings out of this. In this engine. This end here, we've got a giant freeze plug over the end of it. I wondered, I got a new freeze plug. I wonder if I can tap it out with this. Okay, I gotta knock that freeze plug out of there somehow. Yeah, there's a big freeze plug down here on the end that we have to knock out. I've got a new one in the kit. We gotta get it out of there. Okay, so got that freeze plug out of the end. Right here, maybe you can see that. Go, okay. Now, let me pull this back. Better wipe the bores out real good and then make sure we line our oil holes up. This one should be pretty easy to do. Well, these cam bearings on this little John Deere engine go in a lot easier than Cummins did on an N14. So there we go, and of course the blocks out of the frame. It's just a lot easier to see everything and deal with it. Basically trying to get it started and then tighten up the driver so it expands that a little more. Okay. Okay, maybe a little further. Okay, let's see. Oil hole is up on the top, so let me see if I can see up in there. Well, I gotta get a pick or something to stick up in there. I can't tell. Okay, it's just I couldn't see the oil hole, so this gallery passage lines up with your main bearing passage, so you can see I got a zip tie. Let's see if I get the light in the right spot. I got a zip tie. See the zip tie coming out down there? That means we have a clear shot. That means our hole is lined up. Okay, last one is on this end here. And I believe this one's got 2 holes. Maybe it's only got 1, I don't know, we'll see. This one only has 1 as well. It's intersecting with this passage. Okay. So we can kind of eyeball this. See, this one's a little bit different. Yeah, this one's situated a little bit differently. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the slotted hole there. This doesn't really make any difference as long as it gets oil. Get it started, expand this a little more. Okay, let's check it out. Go further. Yep. further yet. I think we're getting pretty close there. Maybe just, I don't know. I'm probably pretty happy with that. You know, you don't have to have the full hole there, but I like to center my bushing in the bore if I can. I mean, I probably could. Well, maybe I'll go just a touch further. Just a little bit further there. What's our hole looking like now? Okay, pretty happy with that. So I know I can see the hole clear as day, and then I can see light out through there, so we're good to go, man. Put a little bit of assembly lube on the cam and slide her back in there. Well, I used all the assembly lube that I had left on the luber plate, which I really like to use, but knew what I've done in the past, and I didn't have any assembly lube left. Just use Dello 1540. Lubed up the journals, lubed up all the lifters with engine oil. Trust me, it'll be just fine. Done it hundreds of times. In there. Oh, you know what? I gotta put that freeze plug. Well, let's see. I got that freeze plug on the end I gotta put back in there. Can I go ahead and slide this all the way in? Still got the freeze plug in, or? The freeze plug goes is right here, so looks like I can get that in. And then these cams on these engines got 4 thrust plate bolts you got to put in, so you got to line up all the holes there and put those all in. And I like to put blue Loctite on those and put them in. Let me find this freeze plug in this kit here. This will be the rear seal. There's our giant freeze plug. Okay, so I'm getting ready to throw the crank in. I spent hours cleaning this cosmoline off of this crank. It must have been sitting in a warehouse for a long time. I finally took it down to my neighbor here, and he's got a actual really good Hotsy steam cleaner. And that, it still wasn't, I mean, even with the steam cleaner, and it's a really nice, fancy, newer steam cleaner. It puts out a lot of pressure, a little good hot water, and it still had a hard time getting that stuff off of there. So let me move some of these out of the way. So these cranks on these take 3 thrust bearings. I know that sounds kind of odd. Okay, let me get the hold of this thing and with a couple of straps here. Take this strap and run it through here. That. Okay. Okay. And means I'm out of assembly lube. I'm just taking some good old Dello 1540. I've already lubed up the bearings. I don't know. See, now where's the bearing tang at? So if I rotate this direction. Oh shoot, you know what I didn't do is I gotta time it. Damn it. Had my head up my ass when I did that, didn't I? I wasn't thinking too clearly on that. Let me go get a paint marker. I might have to lift it back up just a little bit, and then I gotta find the timing mark on this. Okay, so we got all the main bearings in it. Thrust bearings are in it. 150 foot-pounds is the torque. Do I have the right size socket here? Okay. Oh, I knew I was going to have a little bit of problems with that, so let me... Okay. Hello. Good, Jill, how are you? Okay, I got a service call I need to go do. Let's get these torqued. Come on. Okay. 150 plus or minus 15 foot-pounds, so I just go to 150. That's the way they used to do things in the old days. They just give you a good old foot-pound torque, and that was it. None of this torque angle stuff that you see now. Okay. The thing about these little four cylinders is that they're quite a bit quicker to put back together. I don't like that. Okay, so after you do that, it's a very smart idea to, it did not spin any main bearings, so that's why I did not plastic gauge that. The main bearings were fine, just spun one rod bearing. And it turns nice and freely, like it should. And so, if you're, sometimes, you know, if you check your bearings, and usually, to be completely honest with you, most of the time if I do any plastic gauging, it's gonna be on a block that I've had line bored and put oversized bearings and had the crank ground or anything like that. Then I'm really concerned about oil clearance. Okay, so right now I'm not that concerned about it. I'm sure one of these days might bite me in the ass, but so far it hasn't. But so I'm gonna start setting up the rods and pistons now. I gotta knock the old rods out of the old pistons, and I gotta measure every small hole on this to make sure that, hang on. Okay, so I know you probably never heard of this before, but we're timing the oil pump. Okay, let me, got the little old service manual on my phone here. As you can see here is a picture of, I've got it set in exactly the way it's set in the picture, and it's really hard to make it out, but there's a little bitty hole right here, an oil hole to lubricate that. So you're supposed to take, we'll read the directions here. Set the V mark on the drive gear and drive slot as shown in figure 4. The bottom of the gear tooth that is directly in line with the drive slot must line up with the small cast mark next to the oil pump hole on the housing, which is what I did. I took my paint marker and here's the slot. Here's the V mark over here. Here's the tooth that lines up with the slot. Of course, it's going over this way, and I've got it in line with the oil hole. So then it tells you install oil pump so that drive slot is approximately 15 degrees from parallel with the crankshaft, and the V mark is towards the crankshaft. So I see what their theory is here, you know, because, you know, this slot here is driving your injection pump, so it has to be in time. What I had to do, I'll show you. What their whole theory is, if you're on #1 top dead center, which we are, the timing marks here are lined up, see? Actually, I'm just a little bit, well, I'm pretty close. The marks are lined up. I could probably come counterclockwise a little bit there, just a touch, but anyway, let's maybe I'll move it just for due diligence to make damn sure that we're gonna be right. Get that out of the way. Let me get a socket or a wrench or something to turn the crank just a little bit. Where's that 15/16 at? Let's see. Is this the good one or the one that Blake broke the gears in it? Told that kid, don't put the impact on the end of that and hold it with a gear wrench, because you'll destroy the gears in it. What'd he do? Boy. Like that right there, okay. Maybe that might have been where I was getting a little bit off. I wasn't exactly where I should have been there. So, where are we at now? Actually, I think I'm pretty well dead on now. That's right. The V mark is pointing towards the crankshaft, and the slot, yeah, is about 15 degrees. Because if I go one more tooth over, then my slot's going to be parallel, and then my V mark will probably be dead on pointing towards the crank, but my slot will be parallel. Yeah. I'm pretty certain that's it. Let's read that one more time. So what their whole theory is if you draw the line down that tooth of that gear and line it up with that oil hole, and then slide that gear, and once that helical gear grabs the other helical gear and lines it up, it's going to turn that, because it's a helical gear. It's going to turn it, but by the time it seats up, it should be in time. That's their whole theory of making the mark where they made it. And I actually had to go just a little bit further than where the oil hole was. Just a little bit further, because once I lined it up with the oil hole the way they wanted it, my V mark was pointing, it was basically pointing way over here. It was like that. It wasn't pointing at the crankshaft like it is right now. So I'm pretty certain I got it now. I hope so, because it's a lot of work if it ain't right. Okay guys, so I was putting liners in it, and 2 of the 4 kits, the liner O-rings are wrong. Now I'm really wondering if the liners are right either. I'll have to look at that, but you can physically see the difference. Here's the orange. It doesn't take any orange O-rings. They're all this cylinder, this block here, and actually it says in the directions here, it tells you right here that note some models may have only 1 groove or no grooves in the block for this engine's. Discard orange or white O-rings. So this one does not have the orange ones. It does have the black O-rings, and these 2 are too big. So, but here's the deal though. See, here's the orange O-ring. See how this one goes right around that one? Same thing with this one. So 2 of the black O-rings are too big. And if you look at JD Parts, it tells you a casting number on the block. So obviously, they stuck the wrong, let's see, are these boxes here line? Yeah, are these boxes? So RE23615, RE23165. But some knucklehead stuck the wrong damn. Kind of curious while we're sitting here on the camera, go back into JD Parts here and let's look and see how many different liners there are for it. Number 10 is the liner. Number 10. There's only one liner. Okay. So there's only one cylinder liner, but there's 3 or 4 different blocks. So somebody at Reliance stuck the wrong damn O-rings in the kit. They stuck it for obviously a different block. So I've got the R48430 block, which I looked up. The casting number's right up under here. And I looked up it on JD Parts, and I just ordered 2 kits. They're in Portland from John Deere. And they'll be here tomorrow. So I'm just only gonna get 2 liners in it. I can probably set up 2 rods and pistons and get that far, but that's about as far as I'm gonna be able to go. Well, all I can really do, I was gonna stick obviously number 1 and 2 in, but number 2, they didn't send me the rod, and I had to call him back. Of course, you know, the guy says, "Oh, you didn't ask me for a rod." Yeah, I did. Anyway, number 2 is the one the rod spun on. So this is obviously number 3, and the other one's number 4. Where's number 4 at? Oh, yeah, what am I? I'm going crazy here, guys. There's number 4, but I can't do nothing until I get the rod. And I can't put the other 2 liners in until I get the right liner O-rings for it, which will be tomorrow. Tomorrow or the next day, but it's probably about as far as I'm going to be able to go on this thing until I get the right stuff. But when you're setting these up, it's the same. These John Deere pistons and rods are really easy to assemble. The piston says front on the top of the head of the piston, and then on the crown, and then on the rod always says front 2 on it. So it's pretty hard to really screw it up. And then this Reliance kit came with new rod bolts, because they must put the rod bolts in there, because this is the only thing on this engine that's torque angle that I know of. I was reading through the specifications there, and it was the only thing that said 55 foot-pounds plus 90 degrees. Everything else is just foot-pounds. But anyway, well, I guess I'll move on to one of the many other things that I've got in here to do. I'm trying to decide which one. I want to get on my Roadrunner over there and get my hay squeeze. I think that's probably, I mean, I still need to get the engine out of this. I still haven't got that plug out of that stupid case on that tractor over there. I got to do that too. But I might go over there and start working on my hay squeeze for a while, my retrofit on that. Only bad thing is I got to go clear around the shop and back my truck in here, but it is what it is. Well, I guess that'll be another video.